Okay, so GBS. So what is GBS? So GBS is group beta. It's a bacteria, and it's called group beta strep, and it can live in your digestive tract and in your genital tract. So just like any bacteria, it can be present one day and then not the next day, and so it's really just what's happening there. So the bacteria is present in 15 to 40% of all pregnant women. So newborns and so the idea is that it's a bacteria. The baby can contract the bacteria, and then the baby could become ill. And so what does ill look like? Well, it's an infection. So it could be, it could develop into serious complications like pneumonia, meningitis, sepsis. It can be very serious. The reality is that if your baby's infected, we're going to be looking for signs and symptoms of infections, and they will go to the hospital and receive antibiotics. But nobody wants their baby to be the sick one. So how many babies get sick? If someone is not treated with antibiotics in labor, then the risk of their baby becoming colonized with GBS is about 50%, and the rate of a baby that actually becomes sick or infected is 1 to 2%. So you probably heard me say antibiotics. So yes, if you're with a traditional OB and you're giving birth in a hospital and you test positive for GBS, their protocol is to give antibiotics in labor. So that's what that means. You can decline them, of course. In Texas, we can give antibiotics in labor if we have standing orders from a physician. We choose not to do that here at this birth center. So therefore, that's not an option for you. So who's most likely, what puts you and or your infant at risk for getting GBS? So having a positive screening test if you showed signs and symptoms of infection in labor, so a fever, increased pulse, these things, and if your water was ruptured, if your membranes were ruptured for a long time, those risk factors are risk factors for your infant to have early onset GBS. So that is a lot of information. Please ask if you have any questions. So there is a screening to screen and see if you have GBS present. So it's a swab. We do it around 36 weeks. It's in your vagina and then in and out of your rectum very quickly. So like I said, the bacteria can be present one day and then not the next. And so when you take the test at 36 weeks, at 40 weeks, it may still not be valuable or correct. But this is just the general way, and it's valuable information. So just to know or to not know, but it's completely your choice. So let's say you screen and you're negative. So that's the end. You're GBS negative and you continue as normal. Let's say you screen and you're GBS positive. Okay, so what that means is if your water breaks, we're going to want you to be in heavy-duty active labor or having a baby within 24 hours, or we're going to want you to go to the hospital to be monitored more closely. So there's that. If you are GBS positive, you have some options. Obviously, we don't give antibiotics. You can choose to go to the hospital. We will go with you to get antibiotics. Another option would be chlorhexidine rinse. It's a topical disinfectant. You combine it with water in a peri bottle. You spray it. Another thing to do would be probiotics, just to stay on top of it. Just send some good bacteria to your gut, things like this. And then there are some other what's called natural methods. I've heard some things about garlic and things like this, but I can't recommend that to you because I don't have the research. So you can do whatever. If you research and you find something, then great. So so probiotics, and what can you do right now? Right now you can work on improving your microbiome and sending good bacteria, start on the probiotics before we test and things like this. So like I said, the screening isn't everything. You could have it and then you can't have it, but the screening is just what is done traditionally. If you were to decline screening, that's fine. You will be labeled GBS unknown. So same thing goes as if you were GBS positive. If your water breaks and you're not actively having a baby in 24 hours, we have to go to the hospital. It's now out of our scope, and the risk factors are too strong. So yeah, and the other thing would be if you did have to go to the hospital and you're GBS unknown, sometimes you run into problems about physicians accepting you as clients. So screening and just having the knowledge, if you had to transfer out, you will likely have more options about who will accept you. So it's valuable.